Welcome back to the 50-State Cold Case Spotlight, and today we are in Utah for day one, and I will be spotlighting the case of Acacia Bishop. Again, I want to give a heads up to those that have a hard time with child cases. It is okay to scroll away. On May 5th, 2003, Memorial Day, many families are gathering for a barbecue or heading to the beach to soak up the first warm days of the season. 19-month-old Acacia was at her great-grandmother's home having a supervised visit with her then 38-year-old grandmother, Kelly, in Salt Lake City. Kelly was on supervised visits because she had previously taken Acacia before without her parents' permission and hid her in the basement. Acacia's grandmother, Kelly, has an extensive criminal record to include a lot of petty offenses like drunk driving, threats with a dangerous weapon, and disorderly conduct. She has also had an aggravated assault charge and served 60 days in jail because she shot a child with a pellet gun. And when you take this into account, it makes sense why Kelly was on supervised visits with her own grandchild, once you have all that background information. In 2003, Kelly was living at her mother Linda's home, and around 6 p.m., Linda noticed that Acacia wasn't in the living room where she had left her. So she went to ask her husband if he had her, and when her husband said no, it clicked right away to Linda, and she knew that Kelly took Acacia. Immediately, Linda called 911 to report that Kelly had taken Acacia, but law enforcement said that they would not issue an Amber Alert at that moment because at this time they believed it was just simply a family dispute. It would take 12 hours for investigators to issue an Amber Alert, but at that point Kelly had already left with Acacia. The following day on May 26th, Acacia and Kelly would be spotted in a hotel in Idaho Falls, and witnesses say they weren't alone. There was also a man with them. This man was described as being in his late 40s, early 50s with a tan, weathered skin, gray sun-bleached hair, hazel eyes, large hands with carrot-shaped fingers, and small build, around 5'6", and he smoked the brand Basics cigarettes. It is important to note here that investigators don't even know if this man actually existed, and they're not sure even if he did that he had anything to do with Acacia's disappearance. Investigators were able to determine that right after Kelly abducted Acacia, she went and bought a lot of diapers and baby food, which to this day make her parents feel like Kelly's plan was to give her away to somebody else. On May 26th, the same day that they were spotted in a hotel room, Acacia and Kelly would also be seen together in Idaho Falls, close to the Broadway overpass and Greenbelt next to the Snake River. There are a few different versions of what happened next to that river, so I'm going to give you both main versions. Some witnesses say that Kelly and Acacia were sitting on the bridge over the hydraulic water plant, dangling their feet over the water when Acacia fell in and Kelly went in after her. Others say they watched Kelly jump into the river holding Acacia. There were also witnesses that saw Kelly and Acacia on the riverbank and say they never saw them enter the water. Kelly was pulled by the water from employees at the plant, and she said that Acacia was still in the water. The hydraulic plant was shut down so that Acacia wouldn't be sucked into the turbines. Divers were sent into the very murky river for several days to search for Acacia, but her body was never found. One of Kelly's shoes was found on the riverbank along with a pair of baby shoes and a doll, but that would be the only things ever recovered. After several days of not being able to find Acacia's body in the river, they classified her case as a homicide due to drowning, and they do not believe that she accidentally fell into the water. Investigators stated that Kelly admitted after being pulled out of the water that she did try to drown Acacia because she wanted to turn her into an angel, and she also told them that she believed that Acacia was still alive, that she had made it out of the water. Acacia's parents, Adam and Casey, don't believe that Kelly drowned their daughter. They say that she had suicidal tendencies before, but has never indicated that she would harm Acacia. They say that Kelly is a habitual liar, and they believe that she admitted to murdering Acacia to hide from the fact of the family that she had given her away to someone else, that she had been planning this abduction for months. Investigators state that they have thoroughly investigated the idea that Kelly could have taken Acacia and given her to someone else or another family, but they say they don't have any evidence to support this theory. Sergeant Steve Hunt said in 2003 that they didn't find anything to convince them that there ever was a third person, and that they have exhausted all leads on that possibility. There is a sketch that was done with the description of the man at the Idaho Hotel. It was not created by a professional sketch artist and is not endorsed by the police, but Acacia's mother and father have the sketch created and are offering a reward for their daughter's safe return because they believe that she is still alive, and they believe that this man may have her or at least know about her whereabouts. In 2007, Acacia's father, Adam, sent 275 flyers to Idaho schools with an age-progressed photo of what Acacia might look like as a 5-year-old. He was asking the schools to post them in teachers' lounges, hoping that someone would recognize his daughter and know she was missing. Investigators have said that everything in their investigation points to Acacia drowning that day, but they do acknowledge that there is a slim chance she could still be alive. Divers that searched that river say that the visibility was extremely poor, with only about 6 inches of visibility. And where Kelly entered, there was a lot of debris like cement blocks, rebar, shopping carts, bikes, rocks littering the bottom of the river, which made it extremely more difficult to search for a tiny body amongst all of that debris. Linda did visit Kelly in jail shortly after she was taken into custody and asked where Acacia was. Kelly refused to answer. All she kept saying was she was in good hands. Kelly was tried for kidnapping in 2005, but a judge acquitted her after ruling that Kelly was insane at the time of the crime and that they believe she abducted Acacia because she truly believed that Acacia was in an abusive situation and it was her duty to save the child. Kelly was determined to be a danger to the community based on her mental illness and her past criminal behavior and history of violence and substance abuse. Kelly would be committed to a mental hospital for an infinite period of time. Kelly could be released from the hospital at some point if psychiatrists determine she is no longer dangerous, but her prognosis has been very poor, and she reportedly refuses to follow through on treatment plans and does not believe that she is mentally ill. Acacia's parents believe that she is still alive, and organizations like the Polly Klaas Foundation and the National Center of Missing Children and the Charlie Project list her as missing. Her parents are not giving up hope that she is still out there, and the best thing we can do is keep sharing Acacia's face and telling her story and circulating her face on social media. At the time that Acacia was abducted, she was 18 to 19 months old. It varies in reports. She was 2'6" in height, around 30 pounds, and was wearing a pink sundress with daisies or sunflowers on the bottom of the dress. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, and a birthmark the size of a tennis ball on her abdomen. And both of her ears are pierced. If you have any information about Acacia's case or her whereabouts, you are asked to contact the Idaho Falls Police Department at 208-390-8720 or the Polly Klaas Foundation at 1-800-587-4357. Thank you so much for taking the time to get to know Acacia today, and don't forget, when you see those missing and murdered posts on social media, to hit like and share, because every time we share a face, we do get closer to solving a case. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow for day 2 of Utah.